please do this reflection today. So do this warm up on the warm up slide. I asked you to write me a little letter telling me how you feel about this class. We've almost finished the first unit 1A. And so I'm asking, what have you been doing that you are proud of? Are there any changes that you want to make as we move on? Do you have any goals for this class? And what can I do to help you better? Okay, so I want you to answer those questions on your own. I think I just got a few more messages about attendance. So I have that Jason. Well, Jason, you messaged me. You just said Mrs. Roberts. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming you're trying to tell me your mic isn't working. Okay, so Jason is here now, and Rashani, are you here now?
Yes.
Okay, so I have Rashani here now, and somebody else is trying to get in. Lizbeth, it looks like. Lizbeth, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so now I think we have everybody. Okay, so first, you guys should be working on this warm-up. If you just came in, take a quick picture or screenshot of the warm-up that's on the screen. We are going to jump right into some notes today. You guys also, we need to go over my mistake that I made yesterday. And then we need to take notes for today. So go ahead and make sure you have your reflection written down. It may be still in my notebook so that we can go through, yes, they are, what I messed up. And then we're going to take notes. So I'm going to unshare this screen that I'm currently sharing and reshare the document camera. Okay, so you guys should be finishing up this warm up for today. If you didn't quite get it, just go back to the recording and pause at the beginning so you can look at the reflection. So I'm going to go ahead and X out of that. Obviously, you're writing it down and I'll look at it later. And then we are going to go through my mistake and the notes for today. Okay, so my mistake from yesterday, I made a video addressing my mistake. Hopefully all of you guys went back and watched that. But in case you didn't, I'm going to go ahead and go over it again and point out the places where I messed up. Okay, so all the highlighted places are where I made mistakes. Okay, so basically in each of these forms, when I am solving an inequality and I am switching, so we have the positive b value and the negative b value. When I put this negative b value there, I have to flip my sign. Okay, so I'll have x plus a is greater than b. But then when I get to the negative b part, I need to flip my sign. So whenever I switch something to a negative, I'm flipping my sign. Okay, so I write that down here. So when we set up the negative option, for each of these 4 forms, you have to flip the sign. And I totally missed that yesterday. And so it makes 3 out of the 4 examples that I did incorrect. So I went back through and I redid each of them for you. So here, and now they make a lot more sense. So in example 1, we had to flip this to a less than or equal to sign. And we get that x is less than or equal to 1 and greater than or equal to 3. So we get 2 arrows pointing out like this. Okay. And then down here, we should get x is greater than 4, so like this, and less than -8. So we have an arrow pointing down like that. And then on the back, we had an interesting one where we actually had to flip the sign twice. So we flip it here when we make our negative option, and then we flip it again when we divide by the -2. Okay, so 2 different reasons why we're flipping. All right, so we end up with x is greater than or equal to -9 and less than or equal to 13. So we get this bar in between the two values. Okay, example 4 is fine. That one didn't change. I posted the completed version of these notes with the edits on activity 1 from last class. So you should be able to go back and you can edit your own notes so that they're correct. And I am so sorry for making that mistake. Are there questions on that mistake before I move on?
So when we write the equation, the negative equation, the one where we basically just write the negative number at the end,
Right.
do we flip the sign in the equation and then in the answer as well, or is it just in the answer?
Good question. You flip it at the very beginning. You flip
Okay.
it in the equation.
Okay.
Yes. This one flipped a second time, but it was because I divided by -2. I didn't
So
randomly flip it.
if the answer is negative, we don't flip it, or do we flip it?
You do flip it. So like on the front over here, we had our x minus 2 is greater than or equal to 1 option. And then my x minus 2 with the -1 here. But here I flipped the sign. But I didn't flip it again after.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
So how it's like less than or equal to, and it stayed less than or equal to.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense and I didn't ruin your practice and homework. I apologize. Okay, so for today, we're gonna take some notes. We're gonna talk about applications of absolute value functions. Let me just let Daisy in. Okay, so you'll get out a sheet of notebook paper. We're gonna go ahead and take those notes. Okay, there is a document on Canvas with some notes on it, and we are going to go through that, but the main bulk of our notes is going to be on just notebook paper. And then we'll do a few of those examples from the notes in a minute. Okay, so today our notes are on applications. Let me let somebody in, hold on. Okay, applications of absolute value functions. Okay, and today's date is 9/15/20. This is NC Math 3. Okay, so there are two important things we need to know when we apply absolute value functions. So two important facts, I guess, things. The first thing is that, or the first thing we need to know is the average of the values we are looking at. I guess they're not facts. They're two important variables, maybe, or numbers, or values we need to know. Okay, so the first is the average of the values we are looking at. And the second thing is how much we are willing to be wrong. Okay, so this is basically saying how much something can vary. Okay, and if that confuses you, don't worry, we're going to talk about it in a minute. Okay, so we need to know the average of the values we're looking at and how much we're willing to vary from that value. So the form of the application of the absolute value application equation is going to be x minus, let's see, a number equals d. Okay, this number is our average. Okay, so it's the average number, and it's like the perfect value or number. Okay, so it's what we would ideally be. D is going to be our distance away from the average. And this number is how much we can vary. All right, what questions do you guys have so far? Okay, now I'm going to tell you how to calculate the average and this amount we can vary. All right, so our average, also in case for some reason you didn't recognize it, we're taking notes, so you guys need to write this down. Our average is our min value plus our max value over 2. The amount we can vary is going to be defined. We can either do the max minus the average, or the average. Hold on, let me write it down. Or you could do it as the average minus the min. Those should give you the same number. Okay, so this is the one that we labeled as the pound sign or the hashtag in the equation, and this is the one we labeled as D. Okay, so just to reiterate, I'll highlight. So the number, our average, all that stuff. D is our distance away from the average. It's the amount we can vary. So all of this information. Okay, questions? What questions do you guys have? Okay, so we are going to go through the sheet that is on Canvas. I would like you to write it down. Feel free to write it down on notebook paper. Okay, so does anybody still need to copy down what I have on this screen at the moment?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you guys another minute. And if you are done with writing down what's on the screen, I'll put up the next little thing we're gonna do. So the next thing we're doing is just kind of graphing our absolute value functions out. So if you guys want to draw out a little table in a grid, let me stable this so it doesn't keep from coming apart. And again, this document is on Canvas. If you have a printer, you're welcome to print it out. And I will put up the solutions to the entire thing after class.